I had an online relationship and lied about my age. When I got tired of it, I wanted to break up. Late at night, my online dating partner sent me a message. Sister, I'm a handsome male college student. I can meet all 5 of your requirements. Please don't break up with me. I have money. The next second, a transfer of 100,000 yuan came through. Seriously? I really met a love-struck person. Later, I offended Blake, a tough guy in the computer department. Trapped in a corner, I accidentally dialed the phone number of my online dating partner. At the same time, Blake's phone rang. 01 at night, my online boyfriend sent me a message. Sister, I miss you so much. When will you meet me? Along with an emoji of a puppy looking expectantly. I felt a headache when I saw the message. I've known him online for 3 years. At first, to protect my privacy, I made up a persona. I lied about my age by adding 4 years. He always thought I was a white-collar worker who had just entered society. During the summer vacation a year ago, we played games together every day. In a moment of excitement, we somehow confirmed our relationship. I originally planned to just play around and withdraw at any time. But recently, he often mentioned meeting in person. As a liar, I felt guilty, and I wasn't sure if he had also lied about his persona. What if we didn't like each other when we met in person? Sigh. At first, we talked about stars, the moon, study, hobbies, and finally even our innermost feelings. Before I knew it, we were in an online relationship. After much thought, I decided to end this relationship. I've thought it over carefully. Let's break up. You're a college student, and I'm a working person. There's a generation gap between us. I don't want to wait for a boy to grow up. 5 minutes after sending the message, the other side kept showing typing. Instead of a reply, I got a video call. I was so scared that I dropped my phone. I rejected the video call request. The other side sent me several photos in quick succession. The faces were unclear, but the figures were distinct. Sister, I'm a handsome male college student. I can meet all 5 of your requirements. I'll show you my face when we meet and give you a surprise. I'm often on the confession wall. I'm not lying to you. I'm a student, but I'm also financially well off. Don't look down on me. Transfer 50,000 yuan, transfer 50,000 yuan. I was attracted by the photos. When I saw the 100,000 yuan transfer, my heart trembled. Seriously? I really met a love-struck person. In the end, I didn't accept his money but promised not to break up. 02 on the weekend, someone was confessing on the school playground. More and more students gathered to watch. The moment the girl nodded, the crowd burst into cries of joy. Kiss! Someone shouted, and it stirred up the emotions of the onlookers. One by one, they joined in the kiss. Kiss. I stood on tiptoe, craning my neck to look. A tall guy over 1.8 meters in front of me blocked my view. I murmured in a low voice, so annoying. He keeps moving. As soon as I finished speaking, the guy suddenly turned around. I was startled. It was Blake, the heartthrob of the computer department. A frequent figure on the confession wall. I heard he had a bad temper. On his handsome and wild face, his cold eyes were filled with arrogance and a sense of being unapproachable. I immediately fell silent. Subconsciously, I took a step back. An accident happened at this moment. Someone pushed me from behind. I lost my balance and was about to have a close encounter with the ground. Out of a survival instinct, I reached out randomly. I grabbed a piece of cloth. Fortunately, I didn't fall completely, but just knelt on both knees. Unfortunately, what I grabbed was someone's trouser leg. The person held onto their waistband tightly so that the sweatpants didn't fall to the ground. The pants got stuck a little below the waist, revealing the white cloth inside. My forehead hit a certain indescribable place. When I realized this, my mind went blank. It wasn't until a gritted teeth, "Let go," came from above that I came to my senses. I looked up and my heart skipped a beat. It was Blake. I quickly got up and didn't forget to help him pull up his pants. The whole process seemed long, but in fact, it was less than 10 seconds. The world fell silent, and everyone around seemed to freeze. Then, there was a deafening burst of laughter. "Damn it, it's so embarrassing." Blake looked at me, and his face changed colors like a palette. In my life, I've never seen such a vivid combination of blue, white, and red. What should I do when I've done something wrong? Apologize quickly. I immediately bowed and said, I'm really sorry." Blake was ashamed and indignant. The laughter around was very harsh. Blake's cold face, with his intense breathing, gradually became gloomy. He pursed his lips and said nothing. After giving me a fierce glare, he pushed through the crowd and ran away, leaving me there to face the judgmental gazes from all directions. I covered my face and quickly ran away too. 03 I thought this matter could pass with my ostrich-like attitude. But I overlooked one thing: humans are inherently gossipy. Sharing joy is better than enjoying it alone. This incident was filmed and posted online. I really can't believe it. In just that short moment, someone happened to film it. And it was a video. Did this person have a camera on their forehead? You might say the blogger is mean, but the person still had a bit of conscience. They put a mosaic on it. But it didn't affect the hilarious spread of this incident at all. I watched helplessly as the comments section quickly filled with thousands of comments. "Help, the funniest video of the year has emerged. Oh my God. My habit of feeling embarrassed for others is acting up again. What the hell, she even pulled up his pants. Ha ha ha. Pulling down the pants is 100% funny, the two of them looking at each other is 1000% funny, and the girl pulling up the sweatpants is 10,000,000% funny. It's recommended to move to another planet. Life isn't that long. It'll pass quickly. Is the person involved still on Earth, may I ask? I'm still on Earth. But the other person involved has probably become a social outcast. 04 Blake was already quite famous. Good looking, rich, and with a bad temper. Most of the students in the school already knew him. After this incident, everyone knew about it. Of course, I couldn't escape either. I didn't mean to be high profile, but wherever I went, it was like there was a spotlight on me. I couldn't be low key. The polite ones would look at me, whispering and secretly laughing. The impolite ones would come right up to me to tease me, pointing at me and laughing out loud. I pretended to be calm on the surface. But inside, I was already dead. Some people are alive, but they might as well be dead. I heard that Blake had disappeared for 3 days. He didn't attend classes, and he wasn't in the dormitory. I really felt guilty and wanted to apologize to him. But I was only met with rejection. I added him on WeChat. "Hello, classmate Blake. I'm Scarlett." He rejected me and replied with a single word, "Scram." I sent him text messages, but there was no response. I sent more, but they all went unanswered. I tried to call him. Oh no. I was blocked. I lay on my dormitory bed, not knowing what to do. While I was in a daze, my old phone vibrated a few times. I picked it up and saw that my online boyfriend had sent me a message. "Sister, are you asleep? I miss you so much." My low mood improved a bit. I replied, "How much do you miss me? Send me a photo." He sent me a back photo of himself getting out of the swimming pool. He had a tall and long-legged figure with an excellent proportion. His inverted triangle body, with well-defined back muscles and a slender waist, exuded a vigorous power. Even through the screen, it was palpable. "My online dating partner, can I see a photo of you?" After thinking for a while, I took a photo of my legs. The legs in the picture were white, long, and well-proportioned. Even I was attracted by them. As expected. His praises filled the screen. I interrupted his, recently, I made a male colleague embarrassed, and he was laughed at by others. I didn't mean to. I want to apologize, but he's so angry that he ignores me. From a guy's perspective, what do you think I should do? My online dating partner stood by me unconditionally. He complained, "You didn't do it on purpose and you've already apologized. Is your colleague really that petty? If I were him, I would forgive you. I wouldn't be so narrow-minded and hold grudges. Sister, I don't like you caring about other men." My online dating partner sent an emoji of a pitiful puppy. It made my heart soften. I comforted him, "Be good. Aren't you eager to meet? Let's make an appointment to meet." The other side sent an emoji of a puppy happily rolling around. "Let's meet. If he's handsome, we'll continue the relationship. If not, well, let's see." 055 days had passed since the incident on the playground. One night, I went for a run on the playground with my roommate. When we got tired, we squatted down by the basketball court to watch the handsome guys. My old phone in my pocket vibrated. My online dating partner sent me a video. Looking at the familiar cover, I was stunned. Wasn't this the video of me and Blake? Did he find out my true identity? My heart raced and my hands trembled. I could hardly type. Before I could type a word, he sent me a new message. "Sister, have you seen it? This is a funny video someone sent me. Do you think the guy in the video is embarrassing?" My fingers paused slightly, and I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. No, it was just an accident. I think the people involved are innocent. The ones who are too much are those who maliciously laugh at them. The person who took the video and posted it online should be caught and beaten up. My online dating partner agreed, "Sister, you're so nice. You're right. The person who took the video and posted it online deserves a beating." We chatted for a while. My online dating partner said he had something to do and would talk to me later. After sending an emoji of a puppy giving a hug, he went offline. The people playing basketball on the court were really bad. And they weren't even handsome. After watching for a while, there was nothing interesting. When my roommate and I were about to leave, a person rushed onto the basketball court. Without saying a word, he kicked the guy wearing the number 7 basketball jersey. Then, he started punching and kicking. The boys around either tried to stop the fight or just watched. And I, from being startled to being even more shocked. The person who was fighting was Blake, who had disappeared for a week. Blake's eyes were fierce. He pointed at the number 7 and said, "You dared to post the video. If you have the guts, don't let me catch you. This isn't over. I'll beat you up every time I see you from now on." I watched and listened. The threat in his words seemed to include me. I looked at my thin arms and legs and shivered. Coincidentally, Blake's gaze swept over. Meeting his death-like gaze, I quickly turned around and ran for my life. 06 I couldn't fall asleep in the middle of the night. I tossed and turned under the covers. According to rumors, Blake had dealt with everyone who had laughed at him to his face after he came back. I was anxious and didn't know if he would come after me. My mind was in a turmoil until 3 a.m., and I finally fell asleep. The next morning, I saw Blake at the east staircase of the number 2 teaching building. There were still 20 minutes before the class ended. I sneaked out, planning to go to the cafeteria for a meal. I was really craving the Woo's honey glazed chicken cutlet in the 4th canteen. I hadn't been able to get it recently. Every time I went, it was sold out. I was dying to have it. I sneaked out early today. I didn't believe that there was anyone faster than me at this time. At the staircase, Blake and I stared at each other. After thinking for a few seconds, I spoke first. "Classmate Blake, let's talk." Blake was on the phone, and his brows were full of impatience. He didn't intend to communicate with me friendly. He gave me a disdainful look and then turned to leave. I got anxious and rushed up to grab his clothes. Let go. He hung up the phone and shouted at me harshly. I really didn't mean to pull down your sweatpants that day. It was an accident. As soon as Blake heard this, he exploded, shut up. I held on to his clothes tightly. I sincerely apologize to you. Please be generous and don't hold it against me. Tell me directly how you can calm down. My eyes were sincere. Blake's chest heaved with anger. He sneered against the wall, fine. You pull down yours too. I replied loudly, okay. My straightforward attitude surprised Blake. How about right now? I'm wearing pajamas under my skirt. After all, I'm a girl. Can you give me some face? Better do it now than another day. You do it. Come on. Pull it down. I grabbed his hand and put it on my skirt. He quickly withdrew his hand as if he had been burned. Blake's originally face instantly turned red. He pointed at me and said, You're indecent. I pulled him, and he tried to escape. We tugged back and forth. Tear. The air fell silent. Looking at the 8-pack abs in front of me, I couldn't help but swallow my saliva. Holding the black cloth in my hand, I said innocently, the quality of this clothes is really bad. Blake laughed out of extreme anger. His face was gloomy. I shivered. I looked at the black top. It seemed to be the same style as the one I bought for my online dating partner. I forced a smile and said, I'll buy you a new one. I said as I slowly moved my feet. I wanted to run. But I didn't succeed. I was blocked in the corner of the staircase by Blake. He was tall, and the oppressive feeling of his cold face made my scalp tingle. Blake gritted his teeth in anger. Do you know how important this clothes is? His fists were clenched. The veins on his forearms bulged. How important could this clothes be? It was a 39 yuan for 2 deal. I bought one black and one white for my online boyfriend. I pretended to be calm and said, don't do anything stupid. I'll call the police. But my palms were sweating. I nervously picked up my phone and fumbled, trying to press 110 to intimidate Blake. As a result, I accidentally dialed the number of my online dating partner. At the same time, Blake's phone ran 07. Blake glanced at the name on the incoming call. His originally fierce eyes softened instantly. He glared at me and threatened, stay here. If you dare to run, you're dead. He stared at me warily, thought for a moment, and then walked down the stairs. He went to the first floor to answer the call. I accidentally dialed my online dating boyfriend's number. Seeing Blake leave, I was about to hang up, but unexpectedly, the call was answered. A pleasant voice came from the receiver, Sister. Why did you suddenly call me? Aren't you supposed to be at work at this time? Sister, do you miss me? My online dating partner's voice carried a gentle smile. I covered the phone with my left ear. At the same time, I heard Blake's voice from downstairs in my right ear. The two voices overlapped. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it and quietly walked down the steps. Looking at Blake's back as he was on the phone, my heart started beating faster little by little. Sister, why aren't you talking? Hello? Stiffening my body, after confirming the truth, I silently hung up the call. Blake looked down at his phone and muttered to himself, is the signal bad? I'd better call back and check. I quickly sent him a message. It was a wrong call. I'm at work and it's not convenient to talk on the phone. Blake turned around, holding his phone. As soon as he looked up, he saw me on the steps. His face instantly turned ugly. You were eavesdropping on my call? Blake was actually my online dating boyfriend. I was still in shock and looked at Blake with a complicated expression. Why did it have to be him? Hearing his question, I retorted weakly, I didn't need to eavesdrop. You're not mute and I'm not deaf. It's hard not to hear at this distance. Blake frowned and tugged at his torn clothes. He looked both and angry. This was bought for me by my girlfriend. It's unique, and now you've ruined it. What are you going to compensate me with? The shoes on Blake's feet cost 5 figures. His school bag cost 4 figures. Just by looking at the style and quality of his jeans, one could tell they were also expensive. Only that piece of clothing was a cheap one. Fortunately, he had good looks, and the 39.9 yuan clothes gave off a high-end brand vibe. Even with the holes now, it still showed a kind of ruffian, handsome and unrestrained charm. I reminded him a bit sheepishly, actually, this clothes is a buy one, get one, free deal for 39.9 yuan. It's not some unique and precious thing. I'll compensate you with 2 pieces. Blake's expression was a bit displeased. He said to me, "What do you know?" She gave me the best she could within her limited means. She herself only wears 9.9 yuan vests. The clothes may be cheap, but her kindness to me is priceless. I thought silently. So this is the mindset of a love-struck person. I didn't even know I was this good. But I have to state. My vests cost more than 9.9 yuan. 08. Blake didn't accept my compensation or apology. But he threw me a class schedule. He asked me to buy him breakfast for half a month to offset the grudge. He has 4 8am classes a week. Adding my own class schedule, it means I have to get up early from Monday to Friday. I can't sleep in for a single day. On the first day of sending Blake breakfast, I furtively covered my head with a hat. I was afraid of being recognized. After all, the two of us together are like a moving piece of gossip in school. The popularity of that video has died down. But everyone still knows us. Blake walked past me without recognizing me. After a few seconds, he walked back. He suddenly lifted my baseball cap. I quickly tried to grab it back, but he held it high. He laughed wickedly as he watched me jump around in a panic. "Scarlett, you're so short." I was furious. "Are you crazy? Give me back my hat quickly." Blake laughed. "What, are you afraid of losing face?" He knew the answer but still asked. I stuffed the breakfast to him. "Here, take it." Blake teased me a bit and then returned the hat to me. He took a look at the breakfast. He showed a bit of disgust. "Is this all?" The breakfast consisted of a cup of soy milk, an egg, and 2 meat buns. I replied irritably, "That's it. Take it or leave it." Blake may have complained, but he didn't hesitate to eat. He stuffed a bun into his mouth right in front of me. I noticed that he was wearing another white t-shirt I bought today. He paired it with a pair of black cargo pants. I've seen him twice, and both times he was wearing the clothes I bought. Could he be wearing them in rotation every day? I have to say that his body proportion is really good, and his legs are extremely long. I suddenly thought of the 5 requirements he mentioned. Male, meets the requirement. Big, not sure. Student, meets the requirement. Long, not sure. Handsome, meets the requirement. My eyes scanned up and down his body. Seeing me staring at him in a daze, Blake stepped back a little. "Hey, don't fall for me. I have a girlfriend." I was so speechless that I laughed. What a coincidence. I have a boyfriend too. 09. Sister, when shall we meet? I can't wait any longer. How about making it during the National Day? You'll be on vacation then and have time. Blake sent me messages. Now whenever I see him call me sister, I feel very awkward. He's so arrogant in real life. But he's really good at acting cute online. How dare I make an appointment to meet him now? Besides, we just saw each other this morning. I tried to put him off. Let's see. We'll make an appointment when I'm sure I have time. Blake was very disappointed but still pestered me to meet. I sent a message, "Aren't you afraid I'm ugly? What if you're disappointed after we meet?" No way. You had so many people chasing you before. This was something he said when we were just online friends. At that time, I was being harassed by 2 boys, who pestered me relentlessly. I was miserable. So I complained to Blake. He gave me a solution: tell them you have a boyfriend. I worried, where can I find a boyfriend? Blake volunteered, me. And then, we naturally started an online relationship. Ever since I found out that Blake was my online dating partner, I've been feeling very guilty every day. Restless. The thought of breaking up has become stronger and stronger. During the days of sending Blake breakfast, I also increasingly felt that we were not suitable. His temper was too bad. He was not gentle at all. He was like a different person online and offline. After getting up early for nearly half a month, my resentment was swirling above my head. My mind was in a mess. Recently, I haven't been replying to Blake's messages much. I find him annoying. The him online is an obedient and clingy puppy. But in reality, he's arrogant and fierce, and he never gives me a good look. Every time we meet, he has to mock me a couple of times. It makes me angry. Break up. I must break up. I'll break up after I finish sending the breakfast. 10 The last day. I handed the breakfast to Blake, who had just come out of the dormitory gate. He took it with a cold face and didn't even say thank you. Brother Blake, Scarlett is chasing you. She's been sending you breakfast every day for half a month. One of Blake's roommates said with a mischievous smile. You two must have developed some feelings. Blake kicked the other guy and cursed, "Get lost." Then he glanced at me and clicked his tongue. Her? I don't fancy her at all. Ugly. He actually said I was ugly. Was he blind? I wouldn't say I'm the campus belle, but I could at least compete for the title of class belle. I silently told myself to be patient 3 times. Unable to hold back, I took out my phone and typed quickly. Let's break up. Soon, I got to see Blake looking downcast. It felt satisfying. The old phone in my pocket started vibrating wildly. I hummed a song and walked past Blake. I glanced at him. But I was shocked by his expression. Blake was staring intently at the phone with no one answering the call, and his eyes were completely red and wet. He changed from his previous unruly look to a pitiful and broken-looking puppy. It was quite heart-wrenching. No. Did he love me, his online dating girlfriend, that much? Breaking up was a decision I made after careful consideration. It wasn't out of anger. I originally planned to tell my online dating boyfriend the truth and apologize when we met. But I never expected it to be Blake. Before, when I sent him express deliveries, the address I gave wasn't the school's. When I asked him what his name was, he said his name was Asher. I lied about my identity, and he also fudged a bit. I've already offended him in real life. If he knew that I had tricked him into calling me sister online for several years, I really didn't know how it would end. It's better to break up as soon as possible. Anyway, I've finished sending the breakfast. The grudge is offset. I won't have any contact with him in the future. Besides, he said I was ugly. He wouldn't fancy me. Blake has a face that looks like he's a wild and play-loving person. But unexpectedly, he's quite innocent inside. After I said we should break up, he insisted on sending me messages and calling me every day. He seemed determined to make him give up completely. I took the initiative to confess all the things I had lied to him about. And I added at the end, I'm ugly. He didn't reply to the message. I felt a bit inexplicably disappointed. As expected. No one can tolerate being deceived. This old phone should have been retired long ago. Because it had the chat records between Blake and me over the past few years, I've been using it. In this old social account, there are only my family, Blake, and a few friends in the address book. The others are in the new phone and new social account. I opened the photo album and looked at the photos Blake sent me. I really couldn't bear to delete them. Finally, I logged out of the social platform. I was in a daze and threw the old phone into the depths of the drawer. The next second, I let out a sharp scream in the dormitory. I threw the phone into the soup noodles I had just finished eating. My mentality collapsed. How could someone do such a stupid and speechless thing? 17. I took the old phone to the mobile phone repair shop on the school's commercial street. As soon as I walked in, I regretted it. Just as I finished talking to the shop owner, Blake suddenly walked out from the partition. When he saw me, he just gave me a quick glance. He didn't react much. His expression was cold, and he seemed to be in a bad mood. Compared to his indifference, I was extremely nervous. I had countless little fidgety movements. My roommate who came with me asked me, "What's wrong? Do you have fleas on you?" I froze for a moment. "Calm down. Calm down." The shop owner turned to Blake and said, "Hey, you, take a look at this phone. It's..." When I heard this, I panicked. "Wait, why him?" The shop owner explained, "I have something to go out today. My junior brother will repair it for you." After saying that, the shop owner gave the phone to Blake and then left the store. I reached out to take it back, but Blake dodged. He said lazily, "What? Don't you trust my skills?" It's not that I don't trust him. I trust him too much. When we were in an online relationship, he designed a small game for me. He also sent me a self-made small robot to amuse me. He's also the top student in the computer major. I was afraid that he would dig out my secrets when repairing the phone. I came up with an excuse. I thought about it. I don't want to repair it. This phone is too old, and it's not worth the money. My roommate interrupted, "Didn't you say this phone is very important to you? There are your chat records and photos of your relationship with your boyfriend for years in it." My roommate's unintentional revelation made me. I forced a smile. "We broke up. It's not important anymore. I should say goodbye to the past." I reached out to ask Blake to give the phone back. He looked at me, thought for a moment, and then said generously, "Forget it. Considering that you bought me breakfast before, I'll repair it for you for free." I swallowed all the words I wanted to say. Would refusing again arouse Blake's suspicion? Calm down and think about it. He should be to pry into other people's privacy. He wouldn't do such a demeaning thing. 12 at 8 p.m., I received a call request from Blake. Like me, he has two phones. We both use our old phones for online dating. It was the first time I received a voice call from him on my new phone. I was quite surprised when I saw the caller ID. I tapped to answer. Blake's voice came through the phone. His voice was cold and indifferent. "The phone is repaired. I'm downstairs at your dormitory." I was a bit astonished and walked to the corridor to look towards the gate. Sure enough, I saw Blake's figure. He was coming back from the commercial street and passed by my dormitory building on the way. He brought the phone along. I thanked him on the phone. "Thanks. Wait a moment, I'll come down right away." There was silence on the phone. Blake didn't respond. I wondered if the signal was bad and said again, "Hello, are you still there?" Still, there was complete silence. It wasn't until I ran down the dormitory building and stood in front of him to hang up the call that Blake slowly lowered the phone that was pressed against his ear. He was standing under a tree, and the street lamp nearby was dim. It couldn't illuminate his face. Blake's expression was cold. The gaze he cast on me was a bit creepy. I reached out my hand towards him. "Where's the phone?" Blake didn't react. He just kept staring at me. I couldn't help but look down at my chest. I was wearing something inside, nothing was exposed. "What are you doing? Why aren't you talking? Didn't you come to give me the phone?" I got angry. "You're not kidding me, are you?" Blake seemed to come back to life from a motionless statue. His tightly closed lips said softly, "I took the wrong one. It's not yours. I'll bring it to you tomorrow." I was both angry and speechless. I reasonably believed that he must have done it on purpose to play tricks on me. I turned around and left. Scarlett. Blake suddenly called me. I turned my head. What? Blake, standing in the shadows, stared straight at me. You said last time that you broke up with your boyfriend. Why? Was he not good? My heart skipped a beat. I bluffed, what's it to you? Why are you so nosy? After that, I quickly walked back to the dormitory. When I reached my dormitory floor, I looked back downstairs. Blake had left. 13 later, I went to get the phone myself. I was muttering curses. Blake really was playing with me. The phone was repaired. All the content inside was still there. I stared at the green app, hesitated for a long time, and finally decided not to log in. It's over, so don't look back. Since that day, I've found Blake to be very strange. Occasionally when we met, there was an indescribable resentment in his eyes. During the basketball game between our finance department and the computer department, his temper could almost be described as violent. I greeted him politely, but he ignored me. When I was cheering and shouting slogans for our department, he had an extremely foul expression. When I gave water to Max, the monitor of our class and also a fellow townsman who was participating in the basketball game, Blake got angry for no reason. During the halftime break, he dunked the ball forcefully on the basket. The huge sound the floor made shocked everyone. The ball rolled all the way to my feet. Blake, wearing a black basketball uniform with a cold face, walked up to me. He looked down at me. From his angle, he just blocked the light on me. I was completely enveloped in his shadow. The exposed muscle lines on Blake were tough and full of explosive power. He was wearing a sports headband on his forehead, and his cold and fierce eyes contained a hint of ferocity. There was a strong sense of oppression. He stood in front of me, looking at me but not saying anything. I frowned, picked up the ball, and handed it to him. He took it with one hand and stretched out his palm towards me with the other. I was confused. What? Blake stared at me and said, water. Short and cold. It took me a few seconds to understand. If you want water, take your own teams. This is from our finance department. We're opponents now. Blake still insisted, holding his hand out and asking me for water. Blake, what are you doing? The monitor Max came over and stood in front of me. Blake's eyes darkened, and he reached out to push Max away. He used a lot of force and was very unfriendly. Max almost fell down, and I quickly helped him. Blake's eyes were gloomy, and it made me tremble with fear. I didn't know what had gotten into him. He was like a powder keg ready to explode. I quickly took a bottle of water and gave it to him. Okay, here's the water for you. Just go, don't bully our monitor. I pulled Max, who was eager to fight, and persuaded him, calm down. We'll beat him on the court later. Don't bother with this brute. Blake took the water. When he heard my words, his eyes quivered. He looked at me with a wronged and hurt expression. The corners of his eyes were red. Obviously, he was the one who started the trouble, yet he looked like a poor victim. My heart trembled. I couldn't help but reflect on whether I had been too harsh. Blake lowered his eyes. He smiled to himself. His two sharp canines exuded a coldness as if they could bite through everything. He lifted his eyelids and glanced at Max. Then he turned and left. Did you see the look Blake gave me just now? Max turned around and asked me. Is it really necessary? I nodded vigorously. It was a look that seemed like he wanted to tear someone apart. 14 in the second half, Blake went crazy. He dominated the whole game. He scored one goal after another. Our finance department was constantly retreating. And he especially targeted Max. Even a passer-by could feel his deep hostility towards Max. I have to say, Blake on the court was very eye-catching. He was like a lion. Ferocious and full of hormones. Although I was on the cheering team of the opposing side, I was still attracted to him. I admit I was impressed by his handsomeness. In the last second, Blake scored a three-pointer to end the game. He took a few steps back and high-fived his teammates. Through the crowd, he turned his head and looked at me. I regarded that look as a provocation from the winner and turned my face away. The score gap between the two teams was too big. Max was downcast. He rubbed his painful foot and smiled bitterly. I only joined the department's basketball team to get some credits. I've spent more on medical bills than I can earn from these credits. It was supposed to be a friendly match, but he played like he wanted to kill us. He didn't show any mercy. Do you think I offended him somewhere? Just because I didn't give him the water our department bought? I was speechless. Blake was really brutal today. Max fell on the court, and his ankle was swollen. I helped the limping Max out of the basketball arena. Are you still going to the dinner later in this state? Maybe you'd better not go. Ava and I will go. You two can make an appointment another day. Max and I are high school classmates. By chance, we got into the same university. We are not only in the same major but also in the same class. Because of this relationship, we are quite close. Gradually, I found out that he liked my best friend. With my help, they got together. My best friend is in another university. The two schools are close, and occasionally the three of us have dinner together. We had made an appointment today to meet after the game. Max pondered for a while and said, "I'll go to the restroom and call Ava by the way." I nodded and waited aside. While waiting, my eyes accidentally swept to Blake not far away. He was staring at me. The moment our eyes met, he raised his legs and walked towards me with big steps. He looked menacing. I felt scared. Blake didn't stop. When he got close to me, he reached out and grabbed my arm. He pulled me forward. His hand was like a pair of handcuffs. I couldn't shake it off. I was dragged along by him. 15 in the small forest where there was no one around. The first thing Blake said to me after stopping was, "Why did you give him water?" His words were full of anger. I was confused. I'm from the finance department. If I don't give him water, should I give it to you? Blake persisted. There were so many people, but you specifically gave water to Max. He's from our class, and also. I paused, realizing something was wrong. No, what does this have to do with you? What right do you have to question me? What are you going crazy for? Why are you so anxious when I give someone water? I suddenly realized something. I looked at Blake in disbelief as his eyes gradually turned red. His eyes were extremely wronged. His tightly pursed lips slightly turned down. My heart rate gradually increased. I was nervous and flustered. Did Blake find out that I was his online dating girlfriend? My guess was confirmed by Blake's next words. With red and wet eyes, he said, "Why did you break up? Is it because you like someone else? What am I lacking compared to him? You clearly promised to meet me. You're a liar." Under Blake's questioning, I stepped back step by step. Until my back was against the rough tree trunk. "Scarlett, do you still want to hide and run away?" Blake gritted his teeth, and the redness at the corners of his eyes was spreading. I was a bit at a loss. In the silent confrontation, I felt guilty under his hurt gaze. I murmured, How did you know?" "From the phone call, I recognized your voice." I was stunned, trying to recall. I never expected that I'd revealed myself in that phone call. So that day, Blake didn't take the wrong phone. He changed his mind after hearing my voice on the phone. He tricked me. I was shocked. "You peeked at my privacy." Blake looked at me and said, "I found out that the device where your account has been logged in for a long time is the same as the phone you brought for repair." I felt uncomfortable under his burning gaze and lowered my eyes. Everything on the internet was fake anyway. We should have broken up long ago. I was lying about all my personas. You also lied to me about your name and school. In reality, you didn't fancy me, did you? Blake quickly explained. At that time, I didn't know you were my online dating girlfriend. I just didn't care about other besides you. I didn't look down on you. I used to have my father's surname, Asher. After my parents divorced, I took my mother's surname, Blake. Blake's voice was a bit pitiful. I only lied to you about the school. It's because you said you were from Tsinghua or Peking University, and I was afraid you'd look down on me. I read all the confession messages you sent. I struggled for a long time. After thinking it over, I still couldn't let go. When I found out your real identity, I was in a mess. I thought about giving up, but I couldn't control myself from thinking about you. We've known each other for 3 years and chatted every day. I like your values and your personality. I like your soul. Every word in Blake's confession made my heart tremble. It was sour, yet a bit sweet. After all, we had sincerely chatted online for 3 years, and I wasn't completely without feelings. While being on guard, I was already halfway in. When I found out Blake's identity, I was both shocked and scared. After all, I was the one who lied the most between us. I was also sad when I thought about breaking up. Every time I saw him, I felt depressed. I looked up at him. Oh, so you like me even if I'm ugly? If you were an ugly monster, I wouldn't like you. Blake asked cautiously, then do you like me? I replied rationally, we only communicated online in the past, and we've just met in reality. It's too early to say I like you. Meeting Blake's puppy-like eyes, I said softly and euphemistically, but we can get to know each other better and confirm our feelings. What are you doing? Blake suddenly hugged me without warning. He said happily, then I'll chase you. I pushed him away forcefully, and he showed that wronged look again. Can't I even give you a hug? I blushed and scolded him, you stink of sweat. 16 That night, the dinner became a gathering of 4 people. My best friend Ava smiled and teased me. He's so handsome. I approve. Max, despite his limp, still insisted on coming to the dinner. Blake heard about our dinner and insisted on coming along. Out of guilt and to apologize, Blake took care of Max all the way. Max joked, no wonder I can't straighten my back at such a young age. I've been carrying a huge pot on my back. That pot fell and even broke my leg. I smiled awkwardly and glared at Blake. Who knew he was so jealous? Blake knew he was in the wrong, so he paid for the dinner. But he admitted his fault without admitting defeat. When I was secretly scolding him, he said seriously, anyway, you can't give water to other boys. You can only give it to me. I'm just jealous. I don't regret targeting him. I was shocked and speechless. I warned him, I don't like someone who's too jealous. Blake smiled ingratiatingly, okay, I'll tone it down. I looked at him suspiciously, but I didn't miss the flash of cunning in his eyes. From that day on, Blake showed up in front of me like clockwork every day. He sat in on our class's lessons. He didn't care about other people's eyes and insisted on sitting next to me. He spent money on gifts every day to please me. The way he was chasing me was very high profile. It became known to the whole school. I felt inexplicably embarrassed and advised him to keep a low profile. I didn't want our funny video to become popular again. He was not happy. Why should I keep a low profile? I'm chasing you openly. I wish the whole world knew that I like you. That way, no one will compete with me for you. 17 I agreed to officially date Blake a month later. On my birthday, I had a little drink outside. On the way back, Blake kept acting cute in front of me. His words were full of hints to seduce me. Maybe it was because the night view was so beautiful, or maybe Blake was just too good looking. My heart, influenced by the alcohol, was eager to do something. I took the initiative to kiss Blake. I grabbed his collar and made him lower his head. The moment our lips touched, a tingling sensation spread through my body. At first, Blake was stunned, but then he became overjoyed when he came to his senses. After that, he was like a hungry dog pouncing on food. He nibbled and sucked. My lips were almost swollen from the kisses. Scared by the intense kisses, I covered my face directly. "Are you done?" Unable to kiss my face, Blake chose to kiss my neck. I scolded him, "Are you a dog?" He wasn't annoyed. Instead, he barked twice in response to my words, "Woof, woof." I was both speechless and amused. I really had no idea what to do with him. When I woke up the next day, I saw that Blake had posted a moment on WeChat Moments. Taken. He attached a photo of our hands holding each other. I couldn't help but smile as I looked at it. I gave him a like and took a screenshot. Then I posted a moment myself. With the screenshot, I added a caption. Mine. The end.